You are the person that you've been waiting for. You are the one that is going to really cause that shift for you to get everything that you absolutely deserve. And so because you are the one to feel the pain, you're the one who's also going to push your way through it and to the other side of something that you deserve. We want you to move from surviving into thriving, one decision at a time, one day at a time, knowing that you deserve it because you do.
What's up, ladies? Welcome to the health class She Deserves, where we talk all about women's health and bodies, how to know yourself better, and of course, our personal experiences. I'm your host, Autumn Payon, and today we are joined by lifestyle coach and host of the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast, Jovonnie Ford. Jovonnie holds a bachelor's degree in health promotion, a master's in health administration, and is certified in functional nutrition, mindful eating, life coaching, and juicing. After being diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis, PCOS, adenomyosis, and fibroids, Jovonnie used plant-based nutrition, mindset work, and holistic lifestyle shifts to reclaim her energy and health. Now, she teaches other women to do the same using her signature empowered vibration method, helping them reduce pain, balance hormones, and feel aligned in their bodies again. Her motto is Heal Daily, Thrive Always, and she's here to remind us that healing isn't just possible, it's powerful. Jovonnie, welcome to class.
Welcome. It was an awesome welcome, Professor Autumn. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you because you are a teacher and you taught health class before, so this is like very aligned for us.
I never would have thought when I started about 10 years ago that I would ever be on a podcast talking about it. So this is dope.
Well, let's talk about when you started. Can you talk about your entry into the field and what drew you to an education in health?
Yeah. So first of all, I always thought I wanted to be a doctor. Like I wanted to help sick people. And so that was my thing. I'm going to be a pediatrician. At one point, I thought I was going to be a pediatric oncologist. My mom was like, Jovonnie, you do not have the heart to be able to handle kids with cancer every single day. Like, I mean, I guess she knew me a little bit better than I did, as a child, and empathetic and nurturing and just hardships. Like I was the person where, like, if you saw the Feed the Children commercial and it's just 1 penny a day, I was like scrambling around to find all the loose change from the laundry to like, give back and want to be able to provide for other people who just seem like in the less fortunate. Man, Autumn, I went to college and I was just like, that first biology class was a no-go. I was like, what are they even talking about? And it's always like that biology, that science, if you want to go into the medical field. I had a health promotions class, and my professor has been like, she was the first teacher I ever had that I absolutely was like, oh my gosh, I love this class. She introduced us to meditation, yoga, different things about nutrition. I was like, I can vibe with this. This is what I'm liking, girl. I changed my whole major, but I did it. And my mom was a little hesitant because she was just like, when you go to college, I want to make sure that you get an education that's going to lead to something and not lead to vagueness. You're not quite sure what you're going to use your degree in. And so I did an internship. Well, I did a shadow with a doctor. Autumn, I couldn't stand the smell of the hospital. It felt low vibrational. All of the sickness just felt like, do I want to live? Am I going to live? Am I going to die? It just didn't resonate with my body when I got into the work environment. And I was like, changing the health promotion. I want to help people live a better life, be healthy on the preventative side so they'll never have to get into the hospital. And if they get in the hospital, I want that to awaken them to be like, okay, how can I change my life to live better so I can move away from sickness? And so that's what it looked like to get my educational background. And I was just like, yeah, ever since then it was up. Okay. My master's though, I really went in the health administration wise because I wanted treatment I got sick at one point and I needed treatment and my insurance type of lapsed and I didn't have coverage. And I saw how hard it was to be seen. Even if you had the money to pay for it, if you didn't have that insurance, they didn't even want to start you in the system. And I was like, I need to know a little bit more about how to navigate the system, what this system is, why it works the way it works. And so that's why I chose to get my master's in health administration, just because I wanted to know what the system was all about. You know, my own health, my own diagnosis of a stage 4 endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and they found 2 fibroids at the time of my surgery in March 2020, is when my life shifted towards really being intentional with being on a healing journey for myself, changing my lifestyle, and then being able to take that education and apply it into actually like the real world. And people were like, "You're so great with kids." And I was like, "I don't know." They was like, "You need to get into teaching." And so I went with the health certification. Like I was like, if I'm gonna pass a test, it's probably gonna be the health one. And so I took it, I passed it, and I taught health opportunities through physical education. It was called Hope in Florida. And I actually loved it because it was a blend of health and then PE. So if my kids got it together and they were locked in on all the things health, then on Friday or after we're done with all our health lecturing and insights, then we can go to the gym and you can play basketball, you can walk around, you can play. So it was a good vibe for me. And so that's what got me into health.
That's amazing. I love how you said that your mom was like, no, 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 you can't. That's not for you. It's so true. Our moms know us so much better, especially at that age, like when we're kind of deciding where we want to go in life. They're like, trust me on this one. Yeah.
And she was
And
a nurse. So she
oh,
kind of
really?
already
Okay.
knew the clinical side of things. And she
Yeah.
went the clinical route. And I went more the
Mm-hmm.
preventative community health,
Mm-hmm.
public health route. So she was a
Yeah.
nurse. So I was already around, you know, the medical
Mm-hmm.
industry, so to speak, going to Relay for Life, you know, all the different
Yeah.
things that the hospital was doing. And so I was around it and I thought I wanted to be in that industry or that space. And it was like, no, that's not where your vibe aligns. So you're right.
Yes. Yeah, I'm with you. I can't do the hospital thing. My sister had a job in a hospital when she was in college, just as like a side thing, and I went to drop something off one time or something, and I was like, oh my, I couldn't be in here all day every day. It's a lot, and you're right. I don't. The vibe is not aligned with it vibrationally.
Even if the scrubs are cute and
Right.
comfortable, it just the
Right, right. Even if my butt looks good in the scrubs, it's just not worth it. So you mentioned your endo, PCOS, adeno, and fibroids. Can you talk us through a little more your history with these diseases and getting diagnosed? And you also mentioned surgery in March 2020, which was probably a crazy time to get surgery. Like it was
you think
right
it
when
was
the
the
world shut down.
last one right before the pandemic, like right
Yeah.
before everything shut down. So yeah, so think about the extra healing time I had to
Yeah,
really wrap
right?
my mind around it with not having to go right back to work. And so first of all, I didn't even know what those words meant. I knew nothing about endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome. I heard a few people talk about fibroids. Didn't know what they were, but it didn't resonate with me. So it was April 2019, and I'm at a athletic coordinators meeting, and we're at this restaurant. And at the time, I'm pescatarian, and I'm eating salad. I had a few vegetables, maybe some potatoes. It wasn't a lot, Autumn. And I got sick that evening, like just very sick. Like I thought it was food poisoning. And I didn't know what was going on. Mind you, I didn't realize my period was on and it had anything to relate to it. But I got very nauseous and sick. So I hit up another athletic director and I was like, "Are you sick? Like, did you?" Because, you know, they ate more than I did and ate more options. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, come on. And he was like, "No, I feel good. I feel fine." So there was no food poisoning outbreak. So I was like, what's really going on with me? I went to my nurse practitioner, went to my doctor's office, went saw my nurse practitioner, and we just kind of chucked it up to stress because it was a new job for me at a new school. The school environment was very different. It wasn't as welcoming. So I was very stressful with trying to lead people that didn't want me as a leader and then adapt and adopt to all the different changes. My relationship at the time wasn't healthy. I wasn't prioritizing myself. Their problems were my problems. You know, I was trying to help solve my problems, their problems, being in a high environment work. And so we kind of chunked it up to stress. Like even going to the doctor that day and taking off from work, I still was getting calls from work. So it's like not even being off of work and still not being able to, you know, focus on me. So that was April 2019. It happened again August 2019, Autumn. And the night before, it was August 6th, I got this sharp, debilitating pain in the bed that I didn't know what to do. I felt sick. I felt nauseous. I couldn't move. The heat didn't help. The coldness, I couldn't find it. I found myself like kind of crawling to the bathroom floor, laying on the coolness of the bathroom floor, close enough to the toilet in the event that I needed to throw up, and just pain that I had never felt before in my life, not knowing what was happening. Sooner or later, it eventually passed. So I'm going to work, have a high work ethic. Like my granddaddy just kind of instilled that into us. Like you never miss work unless something really bad is happening. So like just taking off. It wasn't how I was programmed. So I went to work. I'm driving to another school because it's a professional development day. So it's off on a different site. And I get that sharp, debilitating pain again out on my right side. I'm driving. I automatically get weak. I start swerving into the lane next to me. I had just enough strength because I saw an 18-wheeler coming up right behind me to get in back into my lane. Like, 18-wheelers in a little, car, Corolla, like that's, you don't align with that. I had just enough strength to pull back into my lane. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening in my body. This is not normal. This is not something that I could just take over the counter pain medicine for. I need to figure out what's happening. I called my nurse practitioner. She told me to go to the emergency room because they needed to do imaging. They needed to see what was happening in my body, and they didn't have those types of equipment at the actual doctor's office. So she told me what to say and what to do. It was my aunt's birthday, and she said the same thing. It was like I couldn't get a pass to not go see what was happening. I get to the ER and I tell them exactly what my nurse practitioner told me. I was seen. I got a CT scan. I think they did like an MRI. They did a ultrasound, and they found a large cyst on my right ovary, and they're thinking that it had ruptured, and that's what had caused the pain. When you hear the word cyst, you also, for me, I was over here like, okay, benign or malignant. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that other C word that gets very sensitive out here in the airways. And I'm just like, oh. And so they wanted to keep me. They wanted to hospitalize me, transfer me to the actual hospital that was linked to that ER. And I was just like, okay, this is a lot of information at a lot of time at this particular point in time. I'm okay with going to make an appointment with my OBGYN and then relay this information to my nurse practitioner. I don't want to be hospitalized because the hospital brings along other germs and issues, and that doesn't tell me that you're ready to investigate what's going on. So let me get to my specialists, the people that know me, who have seen me, and so that shook my world. I went to my OBGYN and she suspected endometriosis. She did another ultrasound in her office. She suggested birth control, but she first asked me if I wanted to have kids. And so the thought was there. I did want to potentially have kids, but I mean, I wasn't trying to have kids right then and there. Like I wasn't in a place to just be like, yeah, kid me up. What can we do to have kids? It was more so like, I do, but is that the reason why you're asking me about birth control or not? Because birth control isn't the answer to what I'm going through. I need to know what's happening inside of my body. This is scary.
Yeah.
And they're saying a large cyst was on my ovary. How long has that cyst been there? What caused the cyst to be there? Like now I'm more aware of the inside of my body, Autumn, after even having all the different degrees. I cared more so what my life looked like on the outside. I wasn't nowhere near aware of figuring out what was going on the inside and what I was doing to the inside of my body. And so she suspected endometriosis, but she said really won't know unless you have surgery, but I could get on birth control to help with like the pain. I was like, well, I don't get this pain regularly. Like this doesn't normally happen for me. Like this is out of my debilitating, out of this world type of pain that I only experienced in April, and now I'm doing it again in August. Like it wasn't like I've been in this pain all day. And she said she knew an endometriosis specialist, an excision specialist. Girl, guess who it was?
Who?
Her husband.
Oh my God.
It was her husband. He was an excision specialist. So I went to another Dr. Fox, right? And so he was at an IVF clinic, and I was just like,
Family
okay,
goes.
let's go this route. Right. And I was just like, you see how this aligns? Like, I am so grateful, but I'll get to that point. I went to see him, and we started the process of going to see different specialists. So I had to go see an endocrinologist because I also haven't had an appetite for a while, like going on maybe 2 years, not a natural appetite, having to find ways to boost an appetite, to be able to even eat and enjoy food. So they did that. I had my great grand aunt, so my granddaddy's sister had colon cancer. And so I had a colonoscopy. And so because of that, it wasn't as close, but it still was there. So I did have to get a colonoscopy. Everything looked good. So everything checked off with her. And then when I got there, the abnormal facial hair she automatically saw and the fact that I had irregular periods were two major signs of polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. So I was like, okay. I had facial hair since like the high school, like I've had friends helping me manage that in college. I've seen my family members pluck hair. Like, why didn't anyone ever say this is a hormonal issue? Why did any of my doctors say, hey, I see you we didn't wear masks all day, every day. Like, you see me. Like, why didn't you ever say something might not be right, hormone rise?
Right.
And anytime I would have an irregular period, they would chalk it up to stress. Maybe you ate something differently. Maybe you got in more movement. And so they were like, well, the body's different. Sometimes you get your period, sometimes you don't. So they made abnormal periods normal for me growing up, that I never digged a little deeper or advocated for myself to say, hey, I'm having facial hair. It's normal in my family. Is that normal for me to have? I'm having irregular periods. I haven't had a period in 3 months. Is it normal for me to not have regular periods every single month? Is that okay for me? I've never questioned it because it was always normalized. Girl, it was time for surgery. We done went and saw all the people. March 3rd, 2020 is surgery time. He thought it was going to be 1 hour. When he went in, it ended up being 4 hours. My fallopian tubes were stuck together. I had a large cyst on that ovary. He had to do some reconstruction because the adhesions from the endometriosis, the scar tissue, had started combining and attaching itself to other organs. It was covering my appendix that he ended up having to take that out. It was all over my rectum, my bowels. So the painful bowel movements that I would get when I would have my period, thinking it was just cramps down there, and cramps can come anywhere on your period. Like, I am holding on to the side of the wall, Autumn, to pass a bowel when my periods are on. Like, I just thought that was my cramping or my pain that I was supposed to get as a woman. That was normal. Now it's showing that clearly that was endometriosis, scar tissues, lesions, all that different things. He found adenomyosis in the left side of my pelvic muscle. So that was where some of that debilitating pain was coming from that I knew nothing about. Every now and again, not something regularly. And then he said he ended up finding 2 small fibroids in my uterus when he was in the surgery, and he went ahead and took that out. Had no idea, fibroids were even starting to form, let alone suspected in there. I knew nothing about those words. And it was a lot for me because at that moment, I realized that I wasn't as healthy as I thought, and I wasn't living in a way that truly was healthy, no matter how much health information I actually knew. And so I hope that helps you, let you know how this came about. And when I started doing the research, Autumn, it was like so many people had different symptoms, different signs, the painful bowel movements, the low back pain, that makes you feel like, okay, is something wrong with my kidneys? Like, how many downward dog poses and child poses do I need to do to release that low back stress? I don't know what's happening to my body. Like, I didn't know the words, but I saw so many people deal with this every single day, not just when their cycle is on. And it's not just a cycle related thing. It's more so a whole body issue once those scar tissues and things start to grow. And I knew nothing about it.
Yeah. You bring up so many good points with all of that because, like you said, it's not just a cycle related thing. I bet you take any disease, any illness, and you will find in a individual who is cycling, you will find variations in their symptoms based on what phase they're in, what their hormones are doing. It doesn't matter if it's the common cold or like cancer. We don't have a lot of research on that, obviously, so we can't say it definitively, but that's something I know in my bones. And so when we have these types of diseases that typically afflict women or people born with a uterus, attaching it to the period is so damaging, first of all, because the stigma we've put on it at a societal level automatically makes people think that it's not that big a deal. It can't possibly be that painful. It's just like women are weaker. And it's this big mess of like underlying sexism that prevents us from getting proper health care, because endometriosis that's that advanced isn't just painful, it can kill you. Like, people don't understand that endometriosis is not just, you know, a womb disease. It can grow anywhere at any time, and we barely know anything about it. And it can be very dangerous. I also think your point,
Agree.
yeah, your point with health, like thinking that you're healthy and then all of a sudden being told like you actually have a chronic illness. That is something I relate to so much, because
Not one, but four, right?
right, yeah. I always considered myself like, I ate well, I worked out every day, like I was lifting every day, I was doing all this stuff. And then I even got into, I always had period problems. Like, they were always very painful for me, but I got into the cycle syncing and the hormone balancing and all of that. And I started trying different supplements and kind of experimenting with myself, because no doctor ever tried to help me fix this issue. And so I was like, well, I'll try to fix it myself. And there are things that I did that helped, and nothing, you know, completely fixed the problem, obviously, because now I know that I do, in fact, have endometriosis. But it's like a real identity shift when you're doing all the things, you think you're healthy, and you still have this massive part of your life it's really affecting your quality of life. And you go to the doctor and they do a surgery and they're like, yeah, actually you have this chronic illness and we don't have a cure for it. All of a sudden you're like, what is healthy? Am I healthy? Can I be healthy? Is that even possible?
Right.
It's such an identity shift. And another point that you brought up with stress, how when we go to the doctor the first time, like, yes, stress causes flares, but it is not the disease. And when we go to the doctor and they're like, oh, you're really stressed right now, it's like, yeah, but why is my body responding this way to the stress? And I don't think enough doctors ask women specifically that question. So I would love for you to talk a little bit more about the stigma and taboos around women's healthcare. And like, okay, you got those 4 diagnoses, navigating that in the healthcare system. Like, you obviously turned to your own kind of more natural and holistic ways of doing things. What pitfalls did you see in our healthcare system? And when were you like, there's got to be a better way than just hormonal birth control and over-the-counter painkillers?
Well, I'm gonna start with the last one, the hormonal birth control and
Mhm.
painkillers. I never heard good stories about birth control from friends, sorority sisters, or anybody else. And I saw the side effects of what birth control did to them. And so for me, it was like a non-negotiable. Like, maybe when they said, okay, I'm gonna prescribe birth control and we're gonna get you in to see, your excision specialist. I'm never going to pick this up. You said it. I didn't say it out loud because I'm still taking in the fact that now that I've come to see you, somebody that I know, my OBGYN that I come for my annuals, only, like, now I'm coming to you and you're confirming what they saw at the ER. You're making this more real to me, because you're saying you see the things, you see the large cysts, you suspect other things that happening, but only until you go in and have surgery will you get the true diagnosis. And for me, it was like, I'm not taking the birth control. I'll go see the specialist and we can go ahead and start navigating the steps. I want the surgery. And the reason why I wanted the surgery, Autumn, even though I'm not someone who wants to just be cut open, I wanted the surgery because I needed to know what was going on inside of my body. That pain that hit me, that caused me to swerve into that other lane and see my life flash before my eyes, said, this is not normal. And I don't want to experience this again. If I can help it, if I could better understand what is happening and what's going on in my body. And so that's why I didn't choose birth control. The thing that I'm so grateful for, Autumn, that is not the everyday story, is the fact that because my nurse practitioner had a relationship with me, I knew her outside of just being a nurse practitioner. She was my sorority sister. There was I know you, I care for you. And I'm not going to say she's not good at what she does, because maybe if it was another patient that she didn't know, outside of it, that she wouldn't give that same level of care of, okay, this is what's going on. This is what we're suspecting is happening again. Go to the ER. We need imaging. Like, it didn't hesitate. But I think because I knew her and I had a good relationship with her, as well as my primary care physician, the one that's over her, like, they knew me. So I felt like they cared about me in a way that they weren't going to let anything happen to me. We're not going to leave things up for a guest or an investigation or for you to figure out. Let's figure this thing out, JoJo. And Autumn, honestly, I was even hesitant with my surgeon because you have to trust the surgeon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so even another sorority sister is an OBGYN. And I told her what I was going through, and she had worked with him before and said he is really good. He takes his time because he's very meticulous with what he's doing in there. That made me feel safe. That made me feel confident, which is why I launched the Empowered Place, Empowered Lives podcast, because I wanted more people with endometriosis, adenomyosis, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and fibroids to come and share their journey of strength, because everybody doesn't get that level of care. Everybody doesn't have to like force advocacy and take notes. Like I've had people who've come on the podcast, Autumn, that said they had to bring their boyfriend to the appointments because he has to make sure that he has that extra body in there to say that you can't just talk to me, treat me, and dismiss me any type of way. And anything that I may forget that I've documented and my experiences, he's going to also add to, because he's someone who's witnessing what I'm experiencing every single day and how this is impacting my life. I've had other people who are, having their lung collapse because of endometriosis and having to navigate the healthcare system because, they may not be the femme presenting woman, and then you're treating them differently. Like I've had a guest come on and talk about that experience, and too many of us have to fight the stereotypes that it's just in our head and be gaslit, and then for them to just say, okay, well, you're just here for pain medication. And that wasn't the case for me. And it's been the case for too many endometriosis conquerors, adenomyosis thrivers, PCOS posse, and my fibroid fighters. And that is not what the healthcare should be. And so for me, it's advocating to the point. What I would suggest people to do, because it wasn't my experience, Autumn, is I would say make sure you get to someone that feels like they actually care about you, that have the time to listen, that's allowing you to really make decisions based on what you say, not just what they want to do to you, on you, or for you. And so I think when it comes to endometriosis, adenomyosis, we really have to find the right specialists and the right people who know enough about it to listen to what it is that we want to experience, give us those options. And if you're not it, let us go and stop playing around. Like, let us move on to the next person, because I absolutely hate that you had to figure out what was wrong with you when you had a whole medical doctor that should be able to navigate those things. And sometimes, Autumn, it comes down to, what does your lifestyle look like? How does this impact your lifestyle? What are you experiencing on a regular day basis? What has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? And too many times they're on this short time frame where they don't have enough time to get to know you, see you, hear you, know what's going on. So why not provide some way to give you notes ahead of time? The journaling of what's happening. So you have time to read it. Your secretary has time to read it. So when you go in here, you don't have to just say, so what's going on with you today? No, you've had time to at least briefly look at these notes prior to coming in here for us to have a informed conversation about my life and what is about to happen. And so if anyone's listening and you know that things are not normal in your body and you've tuned into that, you've been a student in the health class numerous of times by Autumn, and maybe you slide over to the Empowered Place, Empowered Lives podcast, and you're hearing journeys of strength from several women with endometriosis, adenomyosis, PCOS, or fibroids, or any other health condition, and they had to navigate and fight. Don't give up, because you deserve the level of care. You deserve to know what is going on in your body, because you're worth it and you deserve it. And so I don't think the system has been educated enough about it, Autumn. We have to find the right people who know enough about it and know how to treat it, because just because somebody may know about endometriosis does not mean that they're worthy enough to do your surgery, because not everybody knows, once they open you up and they see it, what exactly to do. And if they open you up and they see something and then they just close you back and wake you up and say, yeah, I saw a lot in there, you might need to go see somebody, you just wasted the opportunity to get some help right then and there and not have to be pressed to someone else. So make sure you're doing your research, doing the reviews, and having the conversations to see if they even qualify to do excision surgery on you before you even get opened up. So it's not a waste of time, because it's too many of us. Time is ticking and time is valuable. We don't get time back, Autumn.
A waste of time, or even a bad surgery. Like there are surgeons out there doing incorrect surgeries and making it worse. And that
Because they don't know what to
completely,
do.
yeah. And they're just in there burning things. What makes you think that setting inflammation on fire is going to help? Like in what logical, I don't have a medical degree, but I don't need one to know that that's crazy.
Facts. And I agree with you. I don't have a medical degree and I will not sign up for any type of burning. No.
Nope.
That's just not what you're about to go do.
No. Yeah, especially when it's such a deeply inflammatory disease to begin with.
Deep.
Yes. It is. You have such a good point there with the medical system itself not knowing. Like endometriosis specifically is one of those diseases where patients educate their doctors half the time instead of the other way around.
And it might be more than half the time, Autumn. We don't know the stats, but I'm going to say it's a little bit more than the 50%, if we're being honest.
I would agree. Yeah. It's sad and it's such a profound disservice to women because you like how many years of pain I had to go through before I did all of the heavy lifting and the research and finally learned how to advocate for myself and said, okay, actually, this is what I want. Give it to me or I will find somebody who will. And it should not have to be that way.
It shouldn't. And you know what I'm thinking, Autumn? I'm thinking that's why there's probably more of a shift towards going the integrative, the naturopathic, holistic route when people are wanting to get deeper insights on what's going on in their body, because it seems as though those professionals have more time to dive deeper into who you really are, do testing from muscle testing to larger panels to really getting more insight on letting your body tell you what's happening, what state it's in. And I just love this shift for me because I feel like the more we can shift that way and take that insights, then we can find those excision specialists that do absolutely amazing job and care for those with endometriosis and adenomyosis to then go and do those surgeries. So I feel like it could be a great balance of an approach of finding that holistic or just that treatment care path that you find confidence in, but it's really getting more data on knowing what is going on with your body. How is your body really doing? What is the state that it's in? What is it talking to you? Like, what is it saying? Because symptoms are just your body's way of communicating. It's like, hey, we need to dive a little bit deeper because something's not right. What? I don't know, but you need to start thinking about what's going on. And I will never, Autumn, after March 2020, I will never not care about what is happening on the inside of my body anymore. Just thinking that what I see on the outside is a good enough report card that I'm living a pretty good life, no matter how I look.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that because it's just insane. The things that are normalized and then we just go about our lives thinking everything's fine. I'm healthy. I look great. I do the things I'm supposed to do, so I'm fine. And then all of a sudden, you're not fine anymore, and you're like, it's just your world comes crashing down for a little bit because you're like, well, I don't understand. It did what I was supposed to do. Yes,
and then you have to rebuild it, and you have to figure out how to rebuild it. And I think what's beautiful about having this health class, Autumn, and us having this conversation and having the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast, what I love about it so much, Autumn, is we're being able to get the information out there based on our experiences for other people who may be normalizing these things or going through these things thinking that it's okay, because they might not even realize that it's not okay. And that for me has been like, until I knew it wasn't, you know what I mean? I thought it was. And so being in front of students, middle school and high school age kids, and seeing them experience their, menstrual cycles, I openly talk about it. Who's in pain, who typically doesn't have pain when they're wanting to sleep, and what really kind of, I don't want to say grinds my gears, what I really don't like, but I understand because I've had several conversations with other podcast guests, is the shifting of placing them on birth control at the young ages of high school and middle school without truly understanding what their symptoms are and what's actually happening in their body on a lifestyle manner, and seeing what can be addressed and changed before you just start giving them hormones while their body is still developing, because now it's going to mask the real symptoms and the real messaging that your body wants to tell you about with all of these different birth control methods, because all you saw was your child's pain potentially, or all you saw was the heavy bleeding or the nonstop bleeding, but you're not asking the questions of why. You're not going to the root cause. You're not doing enough testing to really figure out what's happening. And to me, that's what makes me want to continue to speak and say and share experiences and know what's not normalized and have professionals come in and share their expertise, because we really need to make sure that we're having informed conversations with these young children and their parents, because more than likely their parents are making the decision for them, not knowing what impact this is going to put on their body in the long term.
Yeah, that investigative care is so important. And I always say that as well. Like, birth control is a very personal decision, and there's a
Very
crazy
personal.
lack of informed consent around it from providers to patients. And there needs to be a lot more. Like, if I hear one more doctor say that it regulates your cycle, I'm going to lose my mind, because it doesn't. It gets rid of your cycle. And if that makes your life livable, that's great. Use it, because
Awesome.
you deserve to be able to get out of bed every morning. But at the same time, you need to understand what's
Mm-hmm.
going on there. And you also need to if you're going to mask those symptoms, you need to have some investigative care going on underneath that, whether it's proper imaging and or yearly imaging or a surgery. I know at the high school age, nobody's really in a rush to get a young girl under the knife, which I completely understand, but sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it is that advanced at 16 and it needs to be taken care of. So, yeah, that's a very, very important
I agree. Almost to the
topic.
point
Yeah.
of the birth control. Like, if you're okay with putting on the birth control, then you should definitely be open to the consideration of having the
Yes.
surgery to see what's really happening. And I agree with you. It is definitely, because I've had podcast guests who say like birth control allowed them to function. So that is definitely a good thing. Like, sometimes birth control is the answer for some people's body, but it shouldn't always be just the first thing you try without getting real answers of knowing what's happening in your body. And so I think knowing first, like you said, taking that investigative approach, knowing what is going on, and then choosing what best works for you, because it's your healing, your journey. And that's something I also like to, make sure I reiterate, because my journey is not going to look like Autumn's journey. Autumn's journey is not going to look somebody else, because everybody's body is different and the body is so complex, and you just don't know how your body is going to respond to different lifestyles, different medications, different, treatments. So I just, because your mindset has to be with it. Your mindset has to consent to what it is that you're choosing to do too. So your whole body is all in on, the direction that you're choosing to go into. So I'm really glad that you said that too, because it just wasn't my option or something I wanted to do. But I have known people, like you said, that because I had that birth control, I'm able to have a better quality of life. And some, it's just, I'm going to use the birth control right now so I can have a quality life as I figure out the next step, because I don't want this to be my go-to for the rest of my life,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so we've talked a lot about things that are normalized for women and pain. And you mentioned the facial hair and heavy bleeding and irregular cycles. Is there anything else in hindsight that you just thought was normal and then realized when you got your diagnoses, you were like, that's actually not supposed to happen?
The biggest one for me was the painful bowel movements. That shook my world. Like, the painful bowel movements, I never knew that was not normal. I didn't know that other people weren't experiencing that when it came to their menstrual cycles. Like, that it might have just been in their abdominal area with the cramping, and mine was definitely not there. It was passing the bowels, and it almost took me out. So the painful bowel movements I thought was normal. Looking back, I was like, ooh, the nausea around my periods, like just getting absolutely sick. Remember, I thought it was food poisoning in April of 2019. And then when I didn't have any food that was out of this world in August, and then that pain happened again, it made me think back in, I said it was sixth grade. My mom thinks it was seventh grade, but I feel like my memory is better than hers. Being in middle school, I had some lasagna from the country kitchen line, girl. That's what it was called. I didn't call it that. That was one of the lines. And we had lasagna, and I got sick. Like, it made me throw up, and I was so nauseous, and I couldn't go to school the next day. Hindsight, my cycle was on. And so there's this nausea, this onset of nausea that was happening around my cycles. every now and then that really was making me think it was something totally different that I didn't even realize was happening around my cycle time. And so that was something for me. With the PCOS, it was the weight fluctuation. There would be times where, I'm nice and skinny and lean. And then there are times where I am nicely plump and kind of more, I don't know the right words to say, but I'll just go with plump or more full or more cheeky and squishy. And it was just like, have I changed that much? Like, did I change that much in my eating? And so that was something that for me, I never realized was an issue with PCOS is the weight fluctuations. And even when I wanted to lose the weight, it wasn't going anywhere. But, it just really depended on things that was happening in my life that caused the shift of weight unexplained. That was in hindsight. The irregular facial hair. Had no idea that had anything to do with PCOS. I was doing a mindful mukbang on Tuesdays, and I did one with my Aunt Jean, and she talked about her irregular cycles. And, back in the day, without the experience, they were just saying, well, that's just your normal. And so if doctors are telling you that's just your normal, she had weight fluctuation issues, inability to lose weight, having the facial hair, my mom having it. And it's just like, and she's a nurse. Like, they're not teaching you about PCOS in nursing school or what that looks like. So as a nurse, she can't even tell her daughter, okay, your periods are irregular, something's wrong. The facial hair, something's wrong. Like, in hindsight, these are things that I normalized or I saw in my family. The night sweats, that was something like waking up and sweating, like just drenched in sweat. And I'll be like, oh, well, my granddaddy sweats when he sleeps. Like, so I automatically just chunked it up if I saw somebody in my family do it, or if one person in my family or someone says, oh, that happens, or that's normal, then it's like, okay, it's just normal. Then, keep it moving. And so those are some things. Ooh, Autumn, I just thought of another one. Painful intercourse. I thought something was wrong with me, and it was just not something I typically did a lot. But when I tried to do it before, it wasn't happening. It was painful. Nothing was going. And I was just like, is something wrong with me? Like, I was telling my best friend in college, I was like, I think something might be wrong with me. It's like, no, you just need to relax. You just need to relax. And I was like, okay. So over time, and then realizing people with endometriosis could have painful intercourse, I was like,
there we go.
In hindsight, you see what I'm saying? And so some of these things that I didn't even know were happening or what was going on, I never knew was a problem until I got the diagnosis and I started doing research and realizing what symptoms or messaging my body was giving me that it gave other people in that same realm, but also seeing what I didn't have, And I was just like, ooh, this is humbling. Y'all are bleeding for 14 and 21 days, and I've gone one time 3 months without a period. I'm just like, okay, and it's summertime, but I'm over here still like, I don't know when I'm going to bleed. I don't know when I'm going to bleed, like, when is it? And that constant state of anxiety doesn't help your body either, because it's like, when is it going to come? I don't want to mess anything up, and who goes around just buying, feminine products just to wear every day because you just don't know when it's going to come and you don't want to get caught,
It's just expensive too. Like, you can't be doing that. I can't, every time I have to like buy pads or something, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. It just keep going up. You're so right. That anxiety. And then even for regular cycles, when they're painful, that's like, from my experience, that is so anxiety inducing as well, because I do know pretty much exactly when it's going to come, and I know that it's going to be an absolute shit show and that I'm going to be incapacitated. And then I get anxious about, will I be able to go to work? Will I be able to do this? I have plans that day. Can I do it? And it's just unfair, honestly. But I'd love to move into solutions a little bit, because you use functional nutrition and mindset to combat your diagnoses. So can you talk a little bit more about that, your methods, and what you do to manage these diseases?
Yes, ma'am. So, first of all, Professor Autumn, I call it my M to the third degree healing empowerment formula: mindset, mindful eating, and movement. And it was something that I ended up discovering after looking back at what I was doing to do well, because I got diagnosed in March 2020. I was in Florida at the time, and then I moved to Texas. And I started realizing that people that I work with, as you know, conversation flowed, so many of them had PCOS. Didn't find many people with endometriosis, but they had PCOS. And so I started really changing my lifestyle around 2023. I think originally my OBGYN sorority sister told me that nutrition could help once I got all the insight. So I started with nutrition first, Autumn. I started to look at some of the things that I needed to take out. And one of the things was dairy. And so I started with dairy, taking out the dairy. Then I moved into removing as much gluten as possible, because then I saw gluten played a part in it, or could play a part in it. I was already pescatarian. January 2023, my mom was looking into juicing for my granddaddy's health, and she was doing a lot of different research, watching a lot of YouTube videos, watching YouTube videos, and she talked about juicing. And at the time, my mom had went to the emergency room back to back, December 2022, then January 2023. And I was like, she's focused on her dad. I'm looking at you having these emergency kind of like panic attacks, blood regulating, just kind of like, and her body was going through, I guess we would say like menopause, like the different changes. And she also had a lot of stress going on in her life too. And I was just like, maybe we need the juicer. Like maybe we need to try the juicing. And, so I started doing all this stuff, and I just ordered everything from Amazon. I got the Nama J2 juice. I was like, come on, Ma, let's get into it. And so we started getting into it. And we called it Juice with the Fords. And the day we started juicing was the day I started plant-based lifestyle living. I went ahead and took out the last bit, which was pescatarian. I had already took out all the dairy. The last for me to go was the eggs. And I just started doing more research on what could be feeding fibroids, what could be feeding or helping form cysts, what could be going on in the body at different times when it comes to the hormones, soy. And so like I just started to see different things. So I did plant-based as soon as we started juicing, because it just felt so good, Autumn. Like, I don't know, chopping all the things up. Yeah. And so we got into juicing, never had meat anymore, wasn't interested in the meat. Autumn, my periods got lighter. My pain started to decrease. Over time, my period is on, and now I'm not having painful bowel movements. My low back pain is hardly ever there. My energy is vibrant. I'm walking. About 2020, I adopted a golden doodle that needed a home. And so at that point, I needed someone to care and love. He needed someone to care and love. And so we started getting out there. Now I got a walk-in partner. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I got a 75-pound doodle who's gotten all the way to 90 pounds, and we got him back down to 70. But it's like, I got me a big boy. I'm getting out here. We need to walk. I want us to have so much more life together. So the movement started being more intentional. I've walked with my mom before. I walked by myself, but it doesn't feel as good like I walk with my dog. Yeah. And so the walking started to happen. So now I got the juice. I got the plant-based lifestyle. I'm starting to walk. And now I'm seeing the weight come off. Now I'm seeing less appointments for the facial hair. It needed to be every month. Now I'm going like 2 months. Like, hold on. What's going on? Like, less growing. Come on, let's keep it going. And so it was really like a good vibe. And so then that started to shift my mindset. And normally people say it's your mindset first. But once I started to see the benefits of having better cycles, seeing the pain being reduced, seeing the weight drop and starting to maintain, seeing the energy boost. We ain't talk about the fatigue, and the bloating and the stuff that makes us look like we're 6 months pregnant all of a sudden based on what we're eating or how we're feeling. And all of a sudden it's like, are you pregnant? Nowhere near it. Like nowhere near it. No. That endo belly that comes through. But it was a lot, but the mindset shift, the thoughts, the feelings, the belief is like, I can be my own healer. I can make myself feel better. I can start talking back to my body based on the signals and the messaging that was saying to me through mindset, mindful eating, and movement. Like this is a go. And the shift for me with the mindset, Autumn, was originally when after having surgery and getting diagnosed, I was thinking, I can't have all of these things. I don't know about you, but gluten in bread is absolutely delicious. Gluten-free bread is not. Like, now I know it's the gluten in the bread that make the bread so good. You know what I'm saying? I was navigating that thing like, this ain't it. But I was so focused on what I couldn't have, Autumn, I wasn't looking at the fact that what I could, all the things that I could have, and all of the things that I could have that tasted good, that I can have a great experience around, that made me feel better, that made me feel vibrant, that made me feel like I was giving my future self something to look forward to. Like I was moving in a direction that made me feel great about life. And so it felt like I was moving forward and away from sickness, away from chronic conditions, away from those things that I, in hindsight, didn't think was a problem, but they were. It made me start embracing a journey of self-love. So it wasn't like a healing journey of endometriosis, adenomyosis. It became a place where I started loving myself and caring for myself and made different decisions based on how I was feeling, based on the life that I knew I deserved and I wanted to now live. And so it was all about my M to the third degree healing empowerment formula, mindset, mindful eating, and movement. And once I started applying it, enjoying it, documenting the journey, sharing it a little bit more, then I had people at work wanting to try the juices, and I wanted them to try it too, especially the ones with, PCOS and those having, and then they're into it. They like it. They like, oh my God, you got all this energy. And, I'm working with middle school students and you're like 35, 36, 37, it's like you're getting up there and you have more energy than these 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds. They're like, what is going on with you? It's what I'm eating and I'm walking. Did you get your 4 miles in? Woo! So they're just like, what is going on with this girl? And it just felt so much better because something else that I realized I didn't have, Autumn, was boundaries. I didn't prioritize myself. I showed up for other people more than I showed up for me. I would tell everybody else yes and no to myself. And so I had to give my permission to say yes to me, to prioritize me, to take care of me, to love me in a way that I never had before. And so that was a shift for me. And it allowed me to really embrace the journey. And I never would have been here today and feel the way I feel today had it not been for that 4-hour cert. It was supposed to take 1 hour, but it took 4 hours, and it told me so much of what was going on in my body that I needed to change. And so some of that is what caught me to where I am now. And it's an anti-inflammatory lifestyle because I realized inflammation was at the root cause of all 4 of those conditions that were happening in my body at that particular point in time. And so that was the direction I wanted to go in, and I needed to enjoy it because I am a foodie, and it's been a vibe thus far.
Yeah, that is like true holism, like a true holistic method, because you got the surgery, you went to Western medicine and said something's seriously wrong, I need to know what's going on inside my body, and then you started doing the nutrition, and then you started doing the mindset work as well. And I love how you said, like, a lot of people do say that the mindset comes first, but you really felt like you were doing the nutrition and stuff first. And I think it's just such like a feedback loop, like a positive feedback loop. And you can start anywhere in that, and one will beget the other, and it'll just keep going, because when you start to eat healthier, we know that your gut environment directly impacts your mental health. So you start to eat just a little bit healthier. Honestly, especially in the United States, most people are eating so terribly to begin with. The tiniest little shift can do wonders for your gut bacteria. Just introducing 2 more vegetables a week, or just upping your fiber, just paying attention to it. And that can immediately then make you feel better about yourself and give you a little bit more energy. And so then you're like, oh, I have a little bit more energy. Maybe I'll wake up a little earlier today and I'll go for a walk, or I'll do a meditation. And it just keeps going. So just wherever, for everyone listening, if you're like really looking to make a shift in your life or to try and help manage a disease, look for the lowest like barrier to entry for you, whatever that is, whatever sounds like it could be fun, or that you could make it fun. Something that sounds easy, because you're going to want to repeat it. Don't go all at once. And I also, like you said, you were pescatarian, and then you cut out the dairy, and then you finally cut out the fish as well, and then eggs were the last to go. Like, it doesn't have to be all at once. You just make these
That
little
part.
shifts. If it helps.
It's a journey.
Yes. I only recently, just a few months ago, started doing the gluten-free thing because I heard so much about how it could help manage endo pain. And so I was like, I really don't want to, like you said, Gluten-free bread, not as good, twice as expensive. Actually, more than that. It's like 3 times as expensive. It's insane.
Make you want to just choose a whole nother recipe. I don't even want whatever meal I was going to have with the bread because this ain't it.
Yes. And it's so really, I kind of knew for a while, I kind of had a feeling like I really should try gluten-free. I think that there might be something there. But I put it off for so long because I was like, that's difficult and I don't want to. And so then finally, just this past winter, leading up, I had my surgery scheduled. It was like winter, spring, had my surgery scheduled for June. And I was like, I'm going to start going gluten-free or at least significantly reducing it in my luteal phase. And I'm going to see how that goes. And I did notice very small little changes. And so then I was like, okay, you know what? The month leading up to my surgery, I'm going to do completely gluten-free for that month, help get the inflammation down a little bit, and hopefully make my surgery recovery a little bit easier as well. And since then, it sucks sometimes. It's a little difficult, but it is so much easier than I thought it would be. And I think because I started doing it in my luteal phase first, that's why it was so easy for me to kind of get the snowball rolling and get that dopamine hit from the results. Like just doing it in my luteal phase allowed me to do it for long enough for me to see that my body was responding to it. And trust me, like if you have endometriosis, you'll do anything to never feel that pain again. So if you see something even reducing it slightly, you're going to keep going with that. And no matter what it is, even if it's
I love that you said that because it's so trill, so real. You said it was so trill. It's trill too for those endometriosis in the trenches out here just trying to survive. But that feedback loop, I called it like, you're right when it comes to the feedback loop. My thing, Autumn, that usually frustrates me is that when people see the benefits, they feel better. They see the weight dropping. They're in less pain. They go right back to what they were doing before, and they only did that for a certain period of time. And it's like, no, you missed the whole opportunity. When you get the benefits, lean in, keep moving forward, keep picking up where you picked off with that. And if you feel like you can't, get you a guide, get you someone to support, get you an accountability partner, get you a coach, because it is hard to grieve the lifestyle that you used to live. You got to grieve it first before you can truly embrace and enjoy what's to come based on the new you that you're creating to help you feel more better each and every day. And so, and I know more better because we're in the class, so don't deem me teacher on the more better on the grammar or the trill because it was real.
I like trill. I'm going to keep that.
Right. But it was the results that motivated you and gave you the momentum to keep going. And it's like, y'all don't be scared of the results. That's what you were going after. And I've seen so many people in other community like forums even talked about it. Like, y'all, I've done this and I do feel better. And I have seen things, but I really want, and it's just like, you want to get back to the old you. And the old you makes you feel the things that you don't want to feel. And so why not lean more into it, knowing that you're going on a journey to change. Embrace the change, especially when it feels good. Your future self is going to really help you, like, thank you and love you for the fact that you're already showing up for that you that's to come, even if that's this tomorrow you. Because if you know anything like we do as an endometriosis conqueror, what you eat today can definitely make you feel and look a certain way tomorrow, if not in the next few hours. So your future self doesn't have to be years away. It could be hours or a day away. And so be ready for that. Something else you said, Autumn, was about the gut health and the functional nutrition. It was for me the why. Why am I making the cucumber and pineapple juice? Oh, the pineapples, that bromelain helps break down the scar tissue that is inside with the endometriosis. Again, the why. That's the reason why I went the functional nutrition. Like I wanted the certification. I needed to know for myself. I need to educate myself. Why is fiber so important for me? Why is that important for someone with PCOS, endometriosis? Like I needed to know. And where do I get those from? What are those things that I already like that has those things that I need? And I was like, okay, I need more of that. Oh, white rice. You grew up in the South and you had white rice all day, every day. What is that white rice doing to you? What's it potentially doing to cyst forming? What is it doing to the flare-ups? What is it breaking down into? for your PCOS, your polycystic ovarian syndrome? What is the white rice really doing to you, Jovonnie? Could you find something else? Is the low carb really a vibe for you? Does your body thrive with the low carb? You really have to really go with this and really understand what you're getting. What are the benefits from consuming these fruits, these vegetables, these grains? Are they giving you anything? And if they're not giving you anything, do you really need to get so much of it? Like, you can get it in moderation. I'm all for that. But like, do you really need it all the time, regularly, if it's not giving you what you need to help benefit you? And so that benefit and knowing the why with what you're getting is such a vibe. So I'm so glad that you took, and I know you didn't say it, you said the low entry of barrier, and what I was thinking was the low hanging fruit, but I was just like, oh, people can take that literally. Don't go there, Jovonnie. Let Autumn have her moment. So I was like, yes, the low entry barrier way. Like, I talked to one person that's going to be on the podcast, and she was talking about a client who was so, morbidly obese. It was like, I can't walk. I can barely walk for 30 seconds. She said, I dare you to walk to 30 seconds. Walk 30 seconds until you can walk to a minute. Then she did that. She was up to like 10 minutes in 3 weeks. But that's someone who started with the lowest barrier of entry. Didn't say the low hanging fruit. She started with the 30 seconds of walking. And it built from there. And she kept going. And it's in the rep. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but the healthier habits, the new changes, the things that you know you deserve or potentially could help you and you want to explore them, keep doing them. Keep trying them. Get in the reps of the new thing because you're on a journey. You're not in a destination. You don't have to stay stuck. You want to feel better. You want to feel like a newer version of you. Keep doing newer things. Keep doing things that already make you feel better because you believe in it. That's why you did it in the first place. So keep doing it until it becomes your norm and you've wrapped around this lifestyle approach from it. Because your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs is your mindset. So if you know that you want to get it done, you believe it's possible because you've experienced it. All it left is to do is for it to impact your lifestyle and for you to keep doing more about it because it's just shaping your behaviors. What you do and what you don't do is giving you the lifestyle that you have right now. And so there's something in your power that you can do while you wait on more insights from either the traditional Western side or the holistic side. There's something you can do today to love on you, to care for you, to show up for you in a way that you absolutely deserve.
Yes, I love that. Absolutely. Because you create your own reality. You do. And I love your point to like stay connected to your why. That really can make a world of difference when you're like, I'm just feeling discouraged. I really would rather just do this today. This is easier. Be like, well, why am I doing this in the first place? And staying connected to that can really be a big motivator.
It can be life-changing.
Life-changing. It's so true.
I don't even say game changer anymore. Life-changing.
Life-changing. It is so true. And I hope that this is a life-changing podcast for some people listening, for some women listening. I hope that you guys feel motivated and know that it's not hopeless out there. There are things you can do. There are ways to help yourself. And it's not as hard as you might think because the habits build on each other. I feel like we could talk forever. Honestly, this has been such an incredible episode. And I think that so many people are going to get so much out of this. I think your story is going to be really relatable for a lot of people and your energy is just contagious.
Thank you for even allowing me to come on the podcast and be a part of class today and making it a whole vibe. And I just wanted to say in regards to the message you just sent them, I just wanted to say that you are the you that you've been waiting for. And so if you are listening to class today with Autumn, Professor Autumn, I just gave her that, and Healthy Habits and Lifestyle Coach Jovonnie, I want you to know that you are the person that you've been waiting for. You are the one that is going to really cause that shift for you to get everything that you absolutely deserve. And so because you are the one to feel the pain, you're the one who's also going to push your way through it and to the other side of something that you deserve. We want you to move from surviving into thriving, one decision at a time, one day at a time, knowing that you deserve it because You do.
You do. You totally do. So I asked this question to all of my guests at the end. If you could rewrite the health class curriculum that every woman deserves, what would your first lesson be?
Woo! I got it. You ready? I didn't even know what it was coming, but I got it. My first lesson is going to be on lifestyle disruptors. That's what we're talking about in class. We're talking about stress. We're talking about boundaries. We're talking about maybe the foods and stuff that you're eating that you think is healthy that's really not. We're talking about all the different ways that the lack of sleep. We're talking about we're talking about the things that you typically control every single day or have a way of controlling or impacting that's causing you to stay stuck, sick, in pain, bloated, and in fatigue. So first lesson of class, we're doing lifestyle disruptors one-on-one, so you know exactly what's going on with you. And I think that's what it'll be for me. What you
That's
think?
amazing. I
You
love
think
that.
people
That's
show up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's and like we were talking about with low barriers to entry, I think that's such a good one. That's like, you find those low barriers of entry for people, things that they're doing every day. How can they make them just like a little bit, tweak them, make them a little bit better for their body and their situation? And how can that improve their life? I feel like a lot of people don't know how good it can get, you know?
I don't think they do.
I don't think they do. And I
And
think,
I don't know how many times they need us to come showing up. And if they need us, guess what? Our podcast episodes are flowing almost each and every week. So if you feel like you can't show up, we'll show up for you. Put us on, turn us all the way up, get into class, get some empowered vibes from the Empowered Place, Empowered Lives podcast. You got this. You got this, y'all.
You got this. Yes, make sure you guys go check out Jovonnie's podcast, Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives. I will link it in the show notes. Where else can people find you?
Forvibrations.com, but on YouTube it's Wellness with Jovonnie. Wellness with Jovonnie is the YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, I have the video version of the podcast, even though the podcast is also on all podcast distribution platforms. But it also has the Juice with the Fords juice prep playlist where I'm like batch juice prepping for the week. So if you're into juicing, you can go and catch that playlist. Also, I have one where I'm doing interviews at different restaurants, plant-based restaurants, and really getting the story behind there as well for my Nourish and Flourish vibes. Mukbang playlist. And then I am now hosting a training currently, the 5 costly mistakes keeping you in pelvic pain and fatigue and how to heal that naturally. So you probably already know, even though Autumn just gave me a whole insight on my first class, it's about those lifestyle disruptors, y'all. But I'm about to go and do a whole lifestyle disruptors one-on-one type session and see what traction I can pick up, because maybe that's what y'all need. Maybe that's what we need to know a little bit more of, because it is those low barriers. You can control your eating. Maybe your stress, like being more aware of those small things that happen in your life that can really elevate. Y'all, it's one habit at a time. You identify the rhythm of your vibration towards healing and make it move forward.
Yes, that's awesome. I will link all of Jovonnie's things in the show notes. So make sure you guys go check her out and share this episode with somebody who you think would enjoy it, who you think needs a little bit of inspiration and empowerment. And make sure you guys subscribe, rate, leave a review, help me out. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for listening, and class dismissed.